addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I might rent the Lambo and go drive it like it's stolen. I've been living wild, I'm just going through the motions. Stumbling out the Uber, grab my hand, gave me the notion. Swimming in your water, but it feels just like the ocean. I can't lie, I've really been addicted to you. All of my attention I've been giving to you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. Caught up in my feelings, I got feelings for you. On my mind, I can't lie. On my mind, I can't lie. Pull you down till you dry. Pull you down till you dry. All the time, ease my mind. All the time, ease my mind. I know that you're dangerous, I'm addicted to you. I was sipping Moet for 2 years straight to the face. Champagne belly bubble still won't go away. Last year my best man hit a stain with bad face. Now he's got a LB on the water's cold case. I wake up with pain sometime and never go away. Wonder why I balance.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I want to welcome everybody to yet another episode of This, That, and the Third. This is your boy Hook. I'm here with the homie Shannon. Shannon, what's good with you?
Ain't nothing. What's good with you?
I can't call it.
It's Juneteenth.
Yeah, I know. Hey, everybody,
Great day.
happy Freedom Day.
Yes.
All right, so we all want to feel safe in our neighborhoods, right? And we, more importantly, when things go wrong, we want to know that help is only a phone call away. But lately, more and more residents of Allendale County have been asking this one question: where exactly are the police? Whether it's slow response times to like entire parts of town reporting like little to no visible patrols, the conversation around public safety is truly heating up. And it's not just about crime, it's also about trust, it's about equity, and it's also about accountability. So today we're going to be sitting down with members of Allendale County who either are from there, have worked there, or have relatives there, and we're going to openly discuss what's been happening, or more importantly, what isn't necessarily happening as far as it comes to policing in our community. Whether it's a staffing issue, a funding issue, or is it something truly deeper? Now, Shannon, during our last broadcast, some information was brought to light, and you were surprised.
I was.
At the statement was made about the lack of police presence in Allendale. So that kind of threw you for a loop, right?
It did, because the panelists were saying that it was only one police officer for the whole Allendale community, and I was just like, can't be. That makes absolutely no sense. That has to be like, exaggeration. It has to be, a wise tale. So I'm really interested to hear more about that. Like, is that true? And how did that happen?
Exactly, and hopefully that's something we can kind of get into and put rumor and innuendo to rest and truly find out exactly what the status of the town truly is. Now, before we dive into it, we're going to give our guests opportunities to introduce themselves, and I guess we'll go counterclockwise here. So, Chief.
Hi. You said start with me, right? Hi. Porteresia Brabham, running in the upcoming election for the Town Council of Allendale. I've served once before, and I wanted to be on the podcast because I'm deeply concerned about the gun violence in the town of Allendale. It's heartbreaking to see a lot of young lives lost, families torn apart, communities traumatized. So that's why I wanted to be a part of the podcast.
All right, Chief Wiggins.
Lawrence Wiggins, former chief of police for the town of Allendale. Prior to that, I spent several years working for the state of South Carolina as a SLED agent in the Low Country. a good portion of which was spent in Allendale. Worked a couple of cases, one involving actually a public official in Allendale, and one that ended up being the first of its kind in the nation to be prosecuted in federal court. And prior to that, prior to SLED, I contracted to the federal government as a criminal investigator at Savannah Riverside. And prior to that, I worked at the Aiken County Sheriff's Office, where I held multiple roles in various disciplines.
All right. Tommy?
Yes, I'm Tommy Capers, and I'm from Allendale, South Carolina, and I'm one of the candidates for the special election for town council. And the reason why I want to be on this broadcast is because, me being prior victim to gun violence, it also raises my concern. And I want to get in agreement with the other people that's on the panel, because unless we agree, that's the only way we can walk together and come about change. So I'm here.
All right, Randy?
Yes, my name is Randy Creech, current town council member. Been elected in 2024. Been here for right about 16 months. Won both elections, deeply concerned about the community and the citizens of the community. They give us a call, they're very concerned, and they want things to change in Allendale. Thank you.
All right, Marlon, take us on.
All right. Again, I'm Marlon Creech, town council, currently Allendale. Been 2 years in. Like I said, it's important to be on this podcast because it's important for the citizens to hear from elected officials and what they're thinking about in certain capacities to ensure and reassure that we are doing what we're supposed to do as far as setting the parameters to make sure that safety is intact. Again, I'm here to address and answer any questions that I can, and I'm here.
All right. And again, we're glad to have all of you guys. We do value your time,
Most
so we know everyone's busy. So we do appreciate you. And we promise not to keep you here all night, but we do have some questions for you, and the people need answers. So we'll go ahead and get into it. So, we really hope to unpack the facts, the frustrations, and really address the future of the safety of our town, right? So I'm going to start with a basic question, and Shannon, hopefully this will shed some light on the information we received during the last broadcast.
Okay.
But and feel free to go in any order you guys wish. This is a free for all, so just get in where you fit in. My only asking is that you respect each other. But how would you guys describe the state of police presence in Allendale to date?
This is Randy Creech. First of all, I want to thank you, Shannon, for having us on your podcast and being able to address these issues, because there are a lot of issues that are going on. I want to thank you, Hook, for sounding the alarm bells about what is going on. We've had certain spikes that I call in the past, but this is something that's happening more often than ever been in the past. When you have citizens that are in Kennedy Park at one point felt safe, could sit on their porch, could just children run around in the yard, and they are addressing me, calling me, very concerned with all the shootings that's going on. By the way, an hour ago, about an hour and a half ago, there was some shooting that was occurring right in our town. So we're still having these shootings that are happening in our town. It's exhausting for the citizens, because they make myself and Marlon aware that these are happening. And it's frustrating for myself, because we're doing everything that we possibly can do to make sure that the citizens are safe. To answer your question, the current situation that's going on, it's not dire, but it's bad. What we have right now, we are currently, and to answer Ms. Shannon's question, yes, we're down to one executive officer on the police department. We don't have officers. We don't have a captain. We don't have a lieutenant. But what we have is a new chief that has come aboard. He was elected by the council. And he is currently, from what I understand, he's currently doing his best to try to recruit some officers, captains, sergeants, etc., to come into the town of Allendale to try to extinguish this problem. It is bad. I want to also make aware that some of the issues that are going on with the community, we're trying to put together some community watch programs. We used to have them in the past since we're short-staffed. And I also want to, while here, thank the sheriff department for coming in while our police department is short-staffed, them stepping up and being able to provide assistance and help to our situation that's going on in the town of Allendale.
Mr. Creech, I just have a follow-up question for you from that, because you said it's not dire, but it's bad. But you also said that you only have one, and you use an executive officer. So that makes me feel like they're not actually patrolling. They're more of an administrative role. So how do you define dire versus bad?
Well, when I mentioned that, I was talking about as far as the shooting is concerned. As far as the officers in the department is concerned, yes, that is of great concern to us. We need police assistance in it. We've experienced this before, and we've got past it. But yes, I was talking about as far as the crime that is happening here. But yes, we are down, just down to one officer.
Is it right he's an executive administrative and not really a patrol officer?
Yes, he's just the chief.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying. I just wanted to make sure we was all on the same page, because again, that surprised me when I heard it last week. And then you mentioned also that we've been here before, so we'll come back to that.
Yes.
That question.
Yeah, if nobody else is going to go, can I go? Yeah, so the situation is dire. When I first got to SLED and came to Allendale, the Allendale Police Department was staffed with 13 to 14 police officers. They had a full-time training officer. They had a K-9 that patrolled. They had a full-time chief. They had multiple people per shift. And that dwindled down from 2015 down to one officer. And by the time I got there in 2022, when I got there, there was one officer there, and he quit a week later. So after I was sworn in as the chief, not only was I responsible for the administrative duties, but I was responsible for the work duties, which is the case now. So yes, as a chief, you have the administrative responsibilities, but you have to work. You have to work, right? And it's like it come full circle. May of 2022 to the time I left, late February 2025. Yeah, it's gone full circle, and there's a lot of highs and a lot of lows, but the fact of the matter is a lot of things played a part in why people came People got trained, and then people left. And so,
Can you talk about some of those things? What are the things that are making officers not stay?
Yes, that was something a little later down the line. It's a microcosm, or I'm sorry, it's a myriad of things. You know, so I will tell you, we got fully staffed in 2023. The 2023 going into 2024, the full-time staffing levels were 9 officers. When I was hired, I presented a 5-year plan to get back to 14, 15. But we were at 9. So about the time the 9th was graduating from the academy, mid-March of 2024 was the first time I was able to come off the schedule and be just the chief, right? Because we were running one on day shift, one and a second on a swing shift, and a third at night. So during the peak hours of the evening, you had 2 officers on duty. And so one of the issues is, or was at the time, was pay. We just got a bunch of brand new officers certified, and when they look within a 30-mile radius of where they work and they can go get a $15,000 to $20,000 raise, that's what entices people to leave. Not only that, when they see other organizations spending money on equipment, and I have my own opinions about that we could get into later, but when they see organizations that are close spending money on equipment, Gen Z is a lot different than millennials, and they're different than the ones who come before millennials, and so those were some of the issues. So funding, and then I will tell you, and I have no problem saying this, one of the things I ran into was how to supervise and lead people from the next generation, because they think totally different. And the way I was raised in law enforcement, it was very militaristic. And a lot of these younger officers, they don't go for that. And I tried to find a happy medium, because it still is a paramilitary organization. But there were some things I probably could have done better as a leader. But ultimately, at the end of the day, the first thing on a resignation form is, I'm going to make more money.
Okay.
So,
and Chief Wiggins, we appreciate that insight. Definitely, you certainly like some things that I do agree with, and some things I wasn't even aware of. But like you said, those are a lot of things that we're going to come back to later as well. So we have heard from Randy and Chief Wiggins. Now, Tommy, Marlon, and Tibby. I guess I'll go back to the original question. Like, I know Randy said, Chief. Right now, they're opposing views, right? Randy said it's bad, but it's not dire. Chief Wiggins begs to differ, and he says that the situation is dire. So what are you guys' thoughts on the current state of police affairs in Allendale?
Well, it's terrible. I feel it is terrible. When you can't sit on your porch, when you can't go to the local stores without being worried about shots being fired or something transpiring while you're there, it's a serious issue. It's real serious. That's my thoughts on it, and something has to be done. I remember it was a time back when, I don't know if it was a lack of police officers. I'm thinking that's what it was, but we had game wardens, we had state troopers, we had people from different law enforcement agencies in the area, and I don't know what it will take to get that back, but we need something in place, and we need it immediately. From my understanding, if I'm correct, the shooting today, if I'm not mistaken, I think a couple of houses were hit on the main street. It's just not safe at all. It's not, and something has to be done.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's terrible in Allendale at the moment. But it also, we have to police ourselves sometimes too, as well. Even though there's lack of presence around, but there's still the community around. It's still we still around. We still see things. We still know things, and we still ain't doing nothing about that. You know, we can't always just put it on the police at the same time. Just like the shooting today, somebody saw something. Somebody know what's going on, but still nobody in the community are coming forward about that. We gonna have to the you know get back to the roots and like Tibby said earlier, you know, get to the point where we are able to sit on the porch and have the kids in the yard and stuff like that. But we're gonna have to take accountability of ourselves within in the community, stand up and say something, and then we don't have to, you know, have to rely on how many police officers, you know, come to the scene or patrolling the area because we're gonna take care of ourselves.
All right, good point. What you got, Marlon?
All right, so just about maybe 2 hours ago, shots rang out in Allendale. A lot of shots rang out in Allendale, and it's embarrassing to say that a lot of shots rang out in Allendale, but it is facts. We a lot of times when we know that the citizens know that we are short on police officers, they tend to act out. Just because we can't stop crazy people from being crazy or doing crazy, stupid things. But again, Chief Wiggins had got a grant for cameras. I don't know why all the cameras ain't up, especially with being that we are short-handed on officers. Every camera should go up, should have already been up. The citizens are afraid, they're scared, and they shouldn't feel that way. At least as town council, we supposed to put the parameters in and making sure that we have those necessary speed bumps, make sure we have those necessary cameras in every high crime populated area and every major intersection. Again, I'm told that we got cameras on where the shooting took place today. I'm hoping that that comes to a close quick and soon and fast. Again, when you have officers and they can spread throughout the town and patrol and be vigilant, crime always decrease. But if the people don't see anybody patrolling neighborhoods, if they don't see any officers engaging in, the sheriff department can't do but so much. I appreciate all the help that they're giving. Honestly, I do. Because again, without them, and we have one officer, as we know, without the sheriff department and without the police department working together, what we gonna have? Again, I make this one point. I said, make this my last point. For years, recently, we had what the citizens know. It like I said, you can't sugarcoat it at all. Where the police department and the sheriff department were at odds. Now, why is that? I don't really know. But
Well, I guess we can find
right,
out today.
So again, the citizens are suffering because the police department and the sheriff department can't seem to get along. The citizens suffer at this particular point. So I'm a close right there because I know it's finna get good and I don't want to get into a long drawn out, but I'm listening, I'm paying attention just like everybody else is. Thank you.
All right, now, Chief Wiggins, I did want to go back to you. Reason being, Marlon, he did make a statement saying that you were given a grant for cameras and that no cameras are up. So, is that something that you're that you're willing to discuss, or?
Yeah, so it was what it was is we got appropriations from the state legislature. 200,000, I think it was, for a network of cameras. The vendor we used outfitted the entire city of Bishopville, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, 99% sure it was Bishopville. He's a retired police officer, been doing it a long time. All right, prior to my leaving, we had about 5 to 7 cameras up. In fact, if you remember early part of the year, there was a shooting at Fleetwood. It was a drive-by shooting at Fleetwood. And we got a suspect vehicle off of it, but we couldn't identify the driver. We got to look at the driver, but we couldn't identify the driver. But we know whose vehicle it was, and we spent weeks looking for the vehicle, but they resided in another area. So that becomes part of the other problem. But there are cameras up. I did check in to see on the project because that was something I worked extremely hard to get going. And my understanding is that a complaint was filed to Dominion that we were putting cameras up. And so now the camera project is actually on hold. There was some speculation of who may have filed the complaint, but I don't know for sure. So I'm not going to speculate.
How does that play into putting cameras up in the city?
Well, so because all right, so a lot of people don't know there's a big camera company out called Flock Cameras. If you go to like City of Charleston, Columbia, Lexington, any place with a serious budget, they have Flock cameras going in and out all over their city. And so Flock cameras are really neat because they'll tell you if a car is stolen in real time, and it alerts the officers working. The problem is that South Carolina DOT put up a directive that no one was allowed to put up those cameras on their easement. So this actually started. The chief of SLED is actually, if I'm not mistaken, filed a lawsuit against South Carolina DOT over this issue. It's a big issue. But when you drill down to it, so the next option is if you don't, DOT doesn't want them on their right of ways, but and their poles. So like traffic light poles, they don't want them up on it. So the next option is electric pole, is the electric poles, because the cameras need power, right? And so my understanding is the vendor we used did this entire thing in Bishopville. He's doing it and has done it in other places with no pushback. But all of a sudden, there's a complaint, and the Dominion comes back and says, now, you got to pay a fee per pole you want to put a camera up on. So I think the project actually got expensive by a couple $1,000s more. And so, it's their property. So I guess they can say what goes up. The only other option would be for the city public works to erect cameras off of the DOT right of way, so that way, those cameras could go up.
Okay, so it's about ownership. Who owns the poles that the cameras need to go up on?
Yeah. And
now for the members of the town council and the aspiring members of the council, having heard Chief Wiggins's explanation, are there ways around that? Are there ways that that the cameras can be implemented? Or what are your thoughts on what he just said?
I just feel like the council needs to get together and find the funding. I mean, ask for sponsorship from different big corporations, companies, whatever's necessary to get the funding to put these cameras up. Find grants. I'm pretty sure there's some out there. You just got to dig a little deeper, and get together first of all, and brainstorm, come up with some ideas, and then just go to work, because we need these cameras, and we need more than 5 to 7 up immediately.
Well, I'm gonna chime in real fast if that's okay.
To be clear.
Okay, so I don't care what it costs to get the cameras up. If it's a fee for Dominion, if they know how to put the cameras up, let's put the cameras up. I've spoken to outside contractors, such as the great guy Eric Doctor. His company specializes in putting cameras up. I can present this to the council. We know that it's needed. I'm hoping that we can come to some type of resolution. We meet this weekend. I'm hoping that we can just come together and put the cameras up. I don't care what it costs because I don't want to walk past another parent that's crying because they lost a child. I don't want to walk past the lady in the grocery store saying, baby, when they gonna stop those shooting? At the end of the day, you just got to be real. We know it's a need. And when you need water to live, you got to have water. We need cameras in Allendale County, so we got to have it. Whatever the cost is, let's just pay it. I'm not saying that we got a whole bunch of money, but at the
The
end of the
cameras,
day, I know that we should not spare no expenses on safety. Safety first before you do anything. Before people can play on any park or sit on any porch. Like I say, if we have it, I know we can find the money from somewhere. Let's get it done. That takes a lot of pressure off the citizens. That takes a lot of pressure off them being a script eyewitness because again, people are afraid. So if you got them in on the camera and it's right there in plain sight, it's been proven that cameras will decrease crime. Let's have them. Let's get them. Let's pay for whoever we need to pay to get them up. Again, it seemed like a simple fix. It's not hard at all. We already been awarded the cameras. We already got them. And we got the shoes, put them on. That's simple. That's how I feel about it. Thank you.
So,
Mr. Hook, what it is that also I agree with what everybody has stated. But what we also have is a procrastination on some of my colleagues on trying to make sure that the citizens are safe. I believe in crossing all my T's and dotting all my I's before I do anything. Sometimes you can have an idea out there, but the follow up and the follow through winds up being a problem. Ran my campaign making sure that the citizens were aware of or be made known that safety is first. I agree with my fellow colleague Marlon Creech that whatever it takes, whatever it costs to make sure that the citizens are safe, that is something that must be implemented, must be stated, and must be put together. But we have this problem of, once again, as I stated earlier, we have these ideas, but when you have these ideas, you have to basically go walk this thing all the way through, and that seems to be the problem that we have. We all know that these cameras could stop a lot of what's going on. We've had some of the cameras that we do have. Some of the delinquents know where they are, and unfortunately, they're targeting those cameras. Why they're not being arrested, I have no idea. But we have to do something very, very quick, in my view, before it winds up being worse than what it is now. It could be worse, uh, and that was my initial statement. I tend to use, as it was stated earlier, um, the difference between, and I know that they're synonyms, but the difference between dire and bad, because we're still going on about our lives in Allendale. But when it gets to the point where it's very dire, um, that means that we can't be able to function as a town. It's very sad that we have to get used to this. Me myself, I would never get used to it. But that's why so many people are leaving, because of procrastination that's going on by, in my view, some of my colleagues.
So I don't know a whole lot about these cameras, but you would think that there would be some sort of resolution where the cameras might be um, don't need electricity. Like they might use a solar panel to get to come on and go off and things like that. Is that not part of the technology?
yeah. So that's actually a really good point. And yes, for some of the systems in the remote parts around the borders to the city, some of them were going to have to utilize solar, and some of them are going to have to utilize additional cell phone SIM cards to communicate back. The rest of them are worked off of extending the Wi-Fi throughout the city from the police department, and that's how they connect. Um, excuse me. So yeah, that's a very good question. Like Councilman Creech said at the end, Councilman Marlon Creech, the cameras are already purchased, right? This situation with Dominion is currently being worked through, to my knowledge, but it's a hurdle. It's a hurdle, and it's an unnecessary one, and
Because the
but that
council is working through that.
no, the vendor and the police department are working through it and hashing it out, based on my understanding of um, what's going on with the project. Because I obviously have a vested interest. I spent many council meetings talking about this project, and to get this, to secure the funding and get it here was a big
Well, I
deal.
don't live in the community, but I am an accountant, and what is reading to me is if we don't have staff, then we have money, right?
It's very true.
Yes,
Okay.
It's very true.
it's really as simple as that, right?
Yeah.
And Tommy, I didn't want to leave you out. So, what are your thoughts on the whole camera issue?
Yeah, I agree with everyone else. We definitely need those cameras and things like that. But also, there's a voting process when it comes to the councils. And to my understanding, that everybody is not on the same board. Just as we want better for the town, there's people that voting against those cameras or being put up or even finding the funding for those cameras. And that's why it's important that the community get more involved and back involved so that we can put the correct people in positions to, better for the betterment of Allendale, for these cameras to go forward and what's not. It still falls back on the community.
Yeah, MB, and I want to shift gears a little bit, but before I do, there are a couple of things I wanted to, I guess, just mention real quick. All right, earlier, I know we talked about a lot of, even though we know police presence is lacking, people see things, right? So you can't tell me there's a shooting in the area or whatever. No one ever sees anything. So I always say, if you see something, say something. You know what I mean? That's going to be the only way things are going to get better. Also, and I'll just be blunt with it. There does appear to be a lot of inaction on the part of the town council. Obviously, I know a lot of people are doing great things, and I know there are people, even on this panel, who I can speak for personally. And this is coming from a personal standpoint. I can speak for Tommy's an aspiring town councilman. I know that when my mom had a situation with someone trying to enter her home, he goes by and he checks on her periodically. And as I don't live in Allendale, so that gives me a sense of relief knowing that I have someone down there who, it has a vested interest in making sure my mom is okay. I know she has Marlon's number, and she calls Marlon often. All right, so I know she blows him up. She calls him all the time. I also know that when the incident happened with the break-in, Randy was one of the first persons to reach out to her. Obviously, I know that there are other people on the council doing a great job, but come election time, those are the things that people remember, the visibility and things of that sort. But again, going back to the whole camera situation, it does sound like, I don't know if it's miscommunication or information being misheld, but it doesn't really sound like the town council was really aware of why the cameras weren't even up yet. Because I'm thinking that the cameras weren't even purchased, but the cameras have been purchased, so now it's just a matter of getting them put up. And again, I'm not a politician, so I don't know all the ins and outs of that, but I do know that something definitely needs to happen. Now, I also the thing I want to move on to, and Shannon said it very well, right? Like, okay, so if there's only one policeman on the force, there's funding there that's not being used, right? So if they aren't being used towards policemen, then what are they being used for? You know what I mean? So I guess my next question would be, in terms of hiring people, because Chief Wiggins made a good point. If I'm in Allendale, if I'm a police officer and somebody 20 minutes away is offering me $15,000 to $20,000 more, why would I not take that job? So why isn't Allendale as competitive from a financial aspect in terms of recruitment? I mean, are there budget restraints, or exactly what are some of the reasons that we can't not only recruit and hire these people, but keep them on long term?
Well, what we have an annual budget, and basically you have to balance that budget out. Um, Whenever you want to, as Chief Wiggins stated earlier, some of these officers, there's not a lack of loyalty how it was way back when I was young. Um, Inflation have have came into the mind of letting some of these officers just go basically for the money. Uh, we have we have counties, Baltimore County, Bamberg, Hampton, where they're making a significant amount of much more money than in Allendale. Um, and that some people might say, well, why don't we just increase the pay? We increased the pay uh, by 10% when Chief Wiggins was the chief. Um, but the thing about it is that even though there's a 10% increase all across the board, we still did not, in my view, came close to basically the average pay of some of our surrounding areas on how much they pay. You have officers that are in Hampton County that would look for jobs that in Beaufort County, because Beaufort County pays much more money than Hampton County. But Hampton County, in my view, pays more than Allendale. So what we have uh, a issue. This is not just happening just in Allendale, but this is a nationwide issue. And I'm pretty sure that Mr. Keith Wiggins will be able to vouch for that as well. That we have to do something uh, to help uh, raise more money or be able to receive more money so that we can be able to get these certified officers on board with something in which they will be able to be satisfied as far as financial and be able to come into our town. But our town also has high volume of calls. So sometimes uh, these officers now, it's not always about the pay. It's about how much they have to do as well. So we're in a tight spot. But again, we've been down this road before, and we have overcome it. It's just that council, my colleagues, have to come together and let us work together and being able to solve this problem.
I have a question. Can you clarify? Is it the city police or the county that's struggling?
It's the city town limits. It's the city police.
Because you
The,
mentioned that these other counties pay more, but what do the cities pay?
the city, as far as our last check, we starting them off, if I'm not mistaken, right at about 45,000. And I think we still have that sign-on bonus. But you have other uh, municipalities and counties that are paying, that starting their officers off at 50, if not between 50 to $55,000 a year.
So you're saying you have a police force that is fully staffed at 9.
No,
So
we don't have no. And
no,
for the,
if
No,
for,
they're
if
gone.
you had
They're gone.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, we had a police department.
A fully staffed police force is 9,
Yes, yes, yes. I'm
based
sorry.
on what Chief Wiggins talked about. So to go from 45 to 5 is only an additional $50,000 a year. So kinda to make the salaries competitive. So you're saying that there's no way for Allendale to find or raise an additional 50,000 a year to make salaries more competitive with other municipalities?
No, no, no. I'm not.
Well,
I'm sorry.
it's a little more than that on the back end because you have you do have some of the like the retirement that the city is
But
required to
that's
contribute
already in the
to.
budget.
Right, but the higher the salary, the more the city has to contribute.
But what, 9%
So
on 50,000? I mean, if you going like state retirement, you gotta take, well,
yeah,
I'll say 20%. It's like an 18% match on state retirement for the employer. And then the person matches like at 9. So even with that, you got another 20,000 that you're looking at raising. So how does the city raise money? Do you do bond referendums? How do you raise money for the city?
Well, I'm going to let Chief Wiggins speak on that because he pretty much knows that area as far as law enforcement department.
So I'm not, my experience in municipal government was obviously on the law enforcement side. But one of the things that became apparent to me, having sat through council meetings, even before Councilman Marlon Creech was on the council, was that, for instance, let's take the water and sewer rates. Right, I've been in so many city council meetings where the company that comes in that was hired or has been working with the city has been telling the city for, I think, going back to the mid 2000s that what the city is charging for wastewater coming from the town of Fairfax, who services, I think, Gifford, the state prison, and the school system, all pump their stuff into the town of Fairfax's line, and then that comes to Allendale to be processed.
Mm-hmm.
And those rates, even up until I think late 2024, the last time I saw the water people there at the council meeting, they're saying the rates need to be pushed because they're in the mid 2000 levels, and the cost of doing business, not just for the police department but for everybody, has gone up exponentially. Right, the cost to run a municipality has gone up exponentially since the mid 2000s. And that's what that's the rates that are being charged. And one of the last council meetings that I was at, Chubb Rock, that's not the answer either. But one of the last council meetings I was at, they were trying to get Fairfax to the Fairfax Council to the table and couldn't. Right, and I'm not sure what's transpired since then, but it goes back to I don't know if it's political posturing. I'm not sure, but there was almost $1 million in contention between the city and the county with respect to consolidation funds, and that was a big issue between the actually $833,000. And this was a big issue. And I went to a town council meeting. I told the council and the city attorney, we need to file an injunction against the county from spending the money that came to Allendale County for all Allendale County law enforcement, all law enforcement in Allendale County, because the consolidation failed. Right, and this money came from Senator Brad Huddle. He's the one that the money flowed through to come back to the town of Allendale, and the county was spending money left and right. And it took some investigation to figure out, this was the consolidation funds. And what this turned into was a couple of meetings and some appeasement. And my position was to the council and to the attorney, file an injunction and get a judge to determine if we're entitled to this 800 and what we believe to be our portion of the money, and which the elected officials were saying behind closed doors was our portion of the money, but would never go on record. And so, you know, when you start looking at historical wastewater rates that haven't been raised, like all this is like a trickle down effect. It's been systemic. And I saw some people complaining about the water rates, you know, the water usage rates going up. And someone said it should have been done incrementally, and they're right. But you know, the people on the council now can't, you know, unless they were on the council way back when, can't be held accountable for that. They can only do what they can do. All right, and in that respect, you know, moving forward, it's like, well, what's the plan? You know, so with respect to getting money, you know, I just think that the city in general has failed to do its due diligence.
Now, Chief,
because there's money.
Since you have the floor, there is something that I did want to ask, all right? I wanted to clarify some things, and I wanted to ask you a specific question. So you stated that when you first came on board, there was one active officer. Okay. Yes. And during your employ with Allendale, the town of Allendale, you said you at one point you guys were fully staffed, having at least 9 officers. Okay.
Correct.
All right. And when you left, how many officers were remaining?
We were at 4, and one had just put in his paperwork. He was leaving because he was joining the National Guard, and he didn't have to quit. We told him we would hold his position, but he wanted an extended leave leading up to him leaving, and we couldn't accommodate that.
Yeah.
And so he decided to put his paperwork in, and that was right around the time I left.
So my question for you is twofold. One, what happened, or do you know what happened to the officers that were remaining? And 2, do you feel that since the time you got there and the time that you left, do you believe that you left the police department in a better condition when you left than how it was when you first joined?
Yeah, so I think that's a yes and no question. The answer is yes and no. So let me start off with personnel, because that's the big issue. So during my time, I was able to recruit 4 certified people, which ultimately became my the 2 sergeants and then an assistant chief or a deputy chief. And then we recruit, I think I might have hired an additional 8 or 9 people, but 5 made it through the academy. And the last one was graduating the academy around February, March, April timeframe of 2024. I'm a little sketchy on that, but it was in that time frame because it was around the time he graduated and was going on patrol when we had an officer get shot in April. Right, the timing of the officer being shot in April was horrific because we were working through the budget, and at the time in 2020, working for the fiscal budget for 24-25, we had built in raises. We were asking for raises because obviously, you know, we were hearing the talk about what all these other places are making, and you know, whether we like it or not, and Councilman Randy Creech is right in this regard. This is a problem that is happening everywhere. You know, I'm experiencing it now where I'm at in my current position, and you know, larger cities are throwing money at certified. I mean, it's crazy. And I used to use the analogy of certified officers like a unicorn, because they're hard to find. right? Because so many people have so many things in their background that they can't get certified. But I guess back to your point. We put in for raises, and it came back that we weren't getting any. And I won't say that was done arbitrarily. I think the budget just it didn't account for it, or it couldn't account for it. And you have an officer get shot. There was a lot of fiasco on social media about his situation and whether or not he was being taken care of, and whether or not the city was doing the right things. And those are personnel matters that I'm aware of, but I can't speak on for obvious confidentiality reasons. But some of the younger officers saw that, and this was also around the time when the consolidation funds had just been released to the county, and $70,000 cars being used to ride around and patrol the county. Young officers see that, and we weren't able to get another round of new vehicles. You're driving in 4 and 5-year-old Explorers, and you could go over, to the Allendale County Sheriff's Office and get you a street racing scat pack and zoom around the county, and not have to worry about doing a third of the work that has to be done in the city. And so that is an element to why people left. I provided the council a PowerPoint on all the resignations, and I cited the reasons why they left. All of them cited financial reasons. One or two had an issue with leadership. And that's one thing I can't help. We set the Allendale Police Department on the path to be accredited. And with accreditation requires the policies to be written a certain way, and we were holding people to the standard. The running joke was you go to Allendale Police Department, you get wrote up for anything, but that's not true. I mean, if you got wrote up at Allendale Police Department, we've done talked to you 5 or 6 times. We done coached you. Because I know how the job is done, and I know how to get people to where they want to go. And that's one of the things I told them. So in that regard, we got fully staffed, but by the end of it, like I said, it went full circle. So I won't say I left the police department in a better place staffing. Wasn't my fault. Like I said, there were some leadership things I think maybe I could have done better. But ultimately, it's a combination of I think the biggest issue was funding. I mean, like I said, most who left went to places where they got a raise. And some of the raises weren't even that much bigger. With respect to the police department, we had officers come from other agencies and look at the equipment and things we were able to do during my time there, and they couldn't believe some of the things that we had and that we were capable of doing. The in-car cameras in Allendale are license plate readers. A lot of people don't know that. If any patrol car in the town of Allendale gets behind you, it's automatically reading your license plate. It'll tell you if it's stolen. It'll tell you if it's wanted anywhere in the country. If that thing is wanted or from anywhere, it'll tell you that. We paid a lot of money.
Now you just gotta get officers to drive them around and use it.
Just gotta get and that's the thing. A lot of people don't know that. They hear Allendale and they think it's like a podunk police department, but like the Allendale Police Department has some really good equipment.
I have a silly question because you keep saying certified. What's the difference between the certified officer and the officer that graduates the academy? Like, what do you mean when you say certified?
Oh, okay, yeah. So a certified officer is an officer who graduates the police academy. So in South Carolina, you used to be able to work for a year without going to the academy. Unfortunately, a police officer who was uncertified was killed in a very horrific way back in, I think, at the Florence airport about 5 years ago. And the legislature got together and they enacted, it was part of the laws, the accountability laws. I think 2021, 2022, 2023. I think it's HB, it was House Bill something. I can't recall what it was, but there were a lot of changes to things in law enforcement, and that was one of them.
Okay.
No, and I appreciate the insight. And really, it was a question I've been pondering for a while. Because again, I was born and raised in Allendale. My uncle is a former chief of police in Allendale, and I remember a lot of good policemen being down there. And it's crazy to me how now it's like night and day. That I couldn't believe it when I first heard it. You know what I mean. And from what I understand, the police officer that's currently employed there, he doesn't even live in Allendale County. And I'm one that's personally always had an issue with that. How can you say you care about a place if you won't even live there? But again, that's neither here nor there. But I do appreciate you for sharing that insight, Chief Wiggins. I do want to, before we close out, I have two questions I want to pose to everybody, and I would really like to hear from you guys. So again, I no longer live in Allendale, but my mom does, right? And obviously, I'm not able to get to her as easily as I would like to. She's in the twilight of her years right now. This should be the time in her life where she should be able to do her favorite pastimes, go to the store, go sit on the porch, communicate with friends and neighbors, but she's literally afraid, especially since the last incident. I've noticed the shift, and she's just, she's afraid for her life. And that, being her son, that it bothers me I can't even tell you just how much that bothers me. You know what I mean? She's weary, she's caught, and it's like, if something does happen, I'm not even confident that there's, there's no law enforcement to really enforce anything. So how can my mom and all citizens, residents of Allendale included, like, what would you guys say to residents who feel unsafe or really, for the most part, ignored due to the lack of police presence? What would you guys say to those people?
Yep. Oh, well, I know I've been talking a lot, but I'm going to hit on something that because Councilman Creech alluded to this. He talked about the relationships in law enforcement. Okay. Now I'm gonna be very frank. Okay, because it is what it is. All right. I have the ability and I operated with the ability, especially in public, to do what needed to be done for the sake of the community. Behind closed doors, there's one or two people I really don't fool with. But specifically, the relationship between the sheriff's office and the police department was an issue. It became such an issue. It became such an issue that I had to tell some of my council members that what was happening to me was harassment, was vicarious harassment. Some people, you see it a lot when people think they're in competition with you and you're just trying to run your own race. They're too busy looking at you and what you're doing instead of running their own race. And there was a lot of that, specifically between the sheriff's office and Allendale Police Department. And that contributed to a lot of hostilities, you could say. And who suffers? It's the people in the city of Allendale. The sheriff in South Carolina is the lead law enforcement agency. That's by statute and by case law. And by law, he's required to patrol the town of Allendale. Any sheriff in any city within their county who does not have a police department or whose police department is not full-time is required to answer those calls for service. They're not required to keep a car there, right? But if I'm the sheriff and I know my police department is struggling, I'm not going to the city of Allendale and saying, you need to pay me, X amount of dollars. You already have deputies on duty. Why is it so hard for them to ride through the town of Allendale? I could tell you when I first started and Tom Carter was the sheriff, deputies were always in the city. When a shots fired call came out, they always responded. You didn't have to ask them to respond. When Sheriff Carter retired, that changed. And you could talk to any police officer. You could talk to police officers. Well, you could talk to the one officer at the town of Allendale. You could talk to the officers at the Fairfax Police Department. It got so bad between the two departments that state representatives from state agencies were calling me and asking me what is really going on. And the only thing I could tell them is, I don't know what the problem is. Because one minute it seemed like we're good, and the next, we're hearing from deputies, they're told not to be in the town of Allendale.
Well, check this out. Until y'all figure that out, hey, I'm gonna try to get this community back where we can trust each other, man.
So
Tommy, hey, listen, I'm talking, bro.
I got you.
Listen, I'm more concerned about this community because look like this been going on for years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about who we put in place, and it's all about them votes when the town council votes. If the majority vote and no, then it's hard to get the funding y'all need to be able to protect and serve us better. Right? Correct. So in the meantime, while we getting that situated, I need the community to feel safe. And the only way we gonna feel safe is we got to get back to the point where we having each other back. I know y'all saying about if you see something, tell something, that ain't gonna work. Yeah, from one individual, it may not work. But if the whole King the Park is speaking up to this person or what they have seen, change got to come. Right now, it's just one person trying to do this, one person do that. The men of the community, that's a whole nother story. The men of the community have left or have changed. There's no real men really stepping up. Now we got a man that's stepping up. But I need this community to get back where it was at, and we can get back where it was at. When it comes to the police department, hey, bro, we got you. We gonna assist you. We got y'all back. But right now, the community need to get together.
And I feel like, personally, we should get back to the neighborhood watch programs. I feel like some of that'll help. There's some people that's not scared. Also, I've been in communications with Miss Anna Bailey, which is a coordinator of Crime Stoppers. They have different programs. She suggested some things. Something has to be done. I agree with Tommy fully. We as citizens and as a community, we got to step up to the plate. We can't be afraid all the time. Afraidness is getting us nowhere.
And Tibi, I learned recently there are community leaders in the different parts of town that are part of the neighborhood watch, but they are older people, so we don't have nobody else to step in that position. That's why we need the men, and I applaud a great leader like you and Amanda and other leaders. Females, y'all doing y'all job, man. I got to give it to y'all. Y'all stepping up where us men have fall at. You see what I'm saying? But it's time for us men to be men and get back this community the way it's supposed to be. That's just point blank. This been happening for 25 years. This been going on for more than 25 years. And y'all telling me nothing has got right? No, that means we was putting the wrong people in position, thinking they was community-minded people, and they wasn't. They get in they latch on to our weakness and re-elect them and everything. Then get in there and they change on us. No, I'm sick and tired of that. I know y'all sick and tired of that.
Yeah.
To piggyback off of what Tommy is saying, and I agree with him wholeheartedly. I was elected in 2024. My first election was in January 26, 2024, and the second one was in November the 5th. And I had to learn what's going on in Allendale. Again, in some ways, there's a lot of procrastination that is going on. We need to do things a little more swiftly to get things done because the citizens, in my view, and from them calling me, are not happy. The citizens do not trust the Allendale Police Department. They are afraid that if they tell some citizen, tell the police department what's going on, that it's going to be leaked. Um, some things that uh, Chief Wiggins touched on. Um, I was there and seeing some of the beef that was going on with the Allendale Police Department and Sheriff's Office, and I made a statement to both departments that we need to be doing this for the citizens. Whatever animosity or whatever stuff that was going on, you need to grind that up and eat it because the citizens are the ones that's suffering when both of our departments of law enforcement are not working together. I think that we can solve a lot of issues if they will work together. But unfortunately, um, that is that's almost to the point where you have a broken arm and you're putting a band-aid on it. That should not be lingering any longer. Something needs to be done. We don't have the necessary tools in place um, because of all of this happening. There's a lot of inward fighting, and again, the citizens are the ones that are suffering, the ones that are paying the salaries of the both law enforcement agencies. So that we have to do something quickly before more people are hurt, if not killed.
All right. And Marlon, same question. What would you say to the residents who feel unsafe or ignored due to the inconsistent presence of police officers?
Yes, sir. Really quick, Mr. Hook, if I can address something real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Again, while Chief Wiggins was our chief, again, I was on the police committee at a particular time. Me and the late Pookie Smith. We and Pookie, we communicated a lot with Chief Wiggins. We trusted into Chief Wiggins. Um, Again, when Chief talking about the money and everything, he came to us. We told him to get us some documentation, get a proposal to us. He done so. We gave Chief Wiggins the majority, if not pretty much everything he pretty much asked for within reason that would not bring the town down to the knees. Okay. When we talk about new cars, the leadership in the police department, they purchased brand new trucks. Chief Wiggins was riding in one. The deputy chief was riding in one. Now, I'm not saying that everybody had a new vehicle to ride in, but what I'm saying is we did what we could at a particular time and what the budget would allow. Again, I respect Chief Wiggins. I trusted and I still do trust in Chief Wiggins. At the end of the day, we we left the department in his hands and we tried. We tried. I'm telling you, we tried. Like I say, again, we may not have always agree, but we respected each other. Me, him, Poop. I was. We was on the police committee, and we tried to put our heads together to come up with certain things. And I felt like we stayed afloat because of that, because we did respect one another. Now, when it comes to what I would tell the citizens, as far as what the situation and the current situation we in now, of course, is we only have one officer. One officer can do but so much, right? He's a new chief. He has nobody else has, unless it's somebody new that came in that I don't know about. But again, when you make a call, ask for the police department, ask for a police officer, ask for a sheriff deputy. Cover it on both ends. Yes, it's right that the sheriff supposed to cover the whole town and the county. But again, those officers can only do but so much if we burn them out. So again, I do understand where the fact where they're saying that the sheriff has to, but if we have a budget and we're not spending those funds, it's a courtesy. It's a courtesy to give the sheriff department some money because they are covering more than what they are normally covering. It's all in good faith. If you pay some of the officers that are working overtime, the county budget is exhausting because of it. I'm not saying that we'll be in this situation forever, but it is a courtesy to pay the sheriff department. Again, I just feel like it's fair. I just feel like it's right in some capacity. I understand by the law, they are right to cover, but if they're covering more ground and we have one officer and that officer is on a set schedule, I mean, the sheriff is still covering the whole town, regardless of what. So, I mean, me personally, like I said, again, I ask the citizens to not just be afraid and not say anything. I know that some people got different views on it. But my thing is, if I'm gonna be afraid, at least I'm gonna tell, and it possibly can some justice can be served. Again, the town need, we're gonna meet this weekend. Hopefully, the town come up with a solution because, like I say, it's an easy fix for me. Go and pay the money, have the cameras installed.
Hey,
We
Marlon,
need it, but
But they do
Marlon.
have a tip line. Oh, I'm sorry, Tommy. Go ahead. I was going to just speak on the tip line where you can call anonymously, right? And your name not be revealed. Or what? What about that?
yeah, it is that. Some people do utilize that, and I'm hoping that they are utilizing that, and I'm
I'm
hoping
sorry,
that
Tommy.
lead to somewhere else.
I
But
got you, bro. Yeah.
mhm.
Even when y'all meet this weekend, um, it's a voting system
It's a voting system on what?
or anything that y'all agree on, or anything that comes to the table. If y'all want to move forward with the cameras or don't want to move forward with the camera, do y'all put it to a vote?
Okay, so we make a motion, and it's seconded, and then we vote on it, and then that determines whether or not it's approved or not.
Okay, so that
I could,
means
yeah.
that definitely mean that if it's not going forward, we got people that don't want to see Allendale move forward on that council.
Okay, so I know it sounds kind of like that easy, and in a way it is kind of is, but we still need to know what the actual price for the cameras being up. Which me personally, that's small thing to a giant, but all the
Right.
particulars do have to be like in order before we say okay, yeah, let's go ahead and do it. But me, I would not hold back from getting the cameras up.
And I do have before we get final thoughts, right? I do have one more question for you, and I think everyone is pretty. At least I'm interested in knowing, right? So, what should we expect to see over the next six to 12 months regarding improvements with more law enforcement or keeping the citizens safe? Are there any plans in place that you guys can discuss, or what can we expect over the next half year to a year?
Well,
Mhm.
listen. Well, listen. If the community don't get involved, we ain't gonna see no change because they're gonna have to come from the community. Um, this election that coming up is more like a percentage election. It's not going to determine whether Allendale do bad or good because if it's already doing bad and people are already in there saying no to the good things, then whoever get elected during this term either gonna go on the good side to make it worse or be on the better side to make the percentage better. So we're not going to be able to see no change until the next election, just because of the simple fact who we have put in there already. It don't take 6 months to change something. We can change it in 6 months if everybody agree on the same thing for the betterment of Allendale. If everybody agree to that, then yes, we can change this thing within a month's time. But since we got people that saying no to the betterment, and please understand, just as much we want Allendale to grow, there's other people don't want Allendale to grow, and we have those people on council. So until we get those people out and put the new people in that's want Allendale to grow it and move forward, then hey, I don't see changing within 6 months.
So Tommy, I have a question for you because you keep bringing up the community, and then you'll also talk about the elections. But I want to take the elections out of it. How do you see you all can work to make the community more involved in policing itself? What would those steps be? What would be the solutions to bring that to fruition?
Let's go back. Let's go back when we was young. When we walked the street. If we
Yeah.
did something between going to one person house to another, what happened? How did our parents knew? Or did we got in trouble right then? Yes, because the community made sure we look out for each other. We're gonna have to get back to that point. We see something, go to the fence and gossip to the neighbor and say, "Boy, did you see this? Or did you see that? Oh yeah, we need to do this." We're gonna have to find some kind of way to bring back the unity within the community itself.
Because I'm asking you about that point because I feel like no matter who you elect, if you still have the community afraid of the police, afraid to talk, afraid to go on their porches, afraid to interact with each other, you're still going to be in the same cycle. It's just going to be the next
No, no, no,
round
no, no,
of.
no. See, that's the point.
Okay,
You
that's
keep
what I want to
putting
talk about. Yeah, tell
you
me
keep
about what you
putting
think.
you keep putting the police into it. I'm talking about the unity among ourselves. Back then, the community was a whole, and the police was second-handed. We knew people on the police force. The police force had people from the community that
Well, I'm
walked the
only talking
community.
about. I'm only asking about the community, not the police. I'm just saying, if you don't find a way to bring the community to the table, no
Able,
matter who you elect,
yeah, we gotta
it
find a
won't
way.
be
If
strong.
we don't find a way,
Hmm.
then what do you expect? I'm looking for trying to find a solution or to get the community back together, because if we don't, then who if we try to put somebody, it's gonna take 10, it took 25 years to mess this up.
Yeah, I guess I was looking to see if you were thinking like more programs for children. Like how actually do you bring the community to the table?
Right now it's like everybody using rec and stuff like that, but there's other talents in the community as well. There's people that could draw, there's people that can play drums, play the keyboard, or something like that. Get them more involved in that, because everybody can't play rec. So when you can't play rec or go to those functions, then you left to do nothing. But if we create some kind of form to have the other, the minorities to get in, then we'll be straight, man.
Shannon, can I elaborate on that?
Yeah.
So, um, I agree with everything Tommy's saying. I think the other part of what we're missing too is Tommy said it. It took 25 years for it to get like this. And anybody who's had any deep conversations with me about Allendale, I've always told them it will take 2 cycles of kindergarten and 12th graders, 2 cycles, that's 24 to 25 years, a whole generation to completely turn it around. Right? There's nothing that anybody could do right now that's going to fix it. Right? Because the problem is multifaceted. Right? If
Hmm.
we look at um, depending on where you fall, but the intentional targeting of the Black family unit, and I'm saying the Black family unit because everyone up here is Black. Allendale's 85% Black,
Yeah.
90% Black. Right? Right? The studies show no men in the home, the kids go wild. Right? If you look at, and I did this research because I had this debate with a family member some time back, right? If you go back to the 50s, you look at the number 2-parent households, mom and father. And as you look from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s into the 90s, as the number of two-parent households go down, the number of incarcerated uh, Black men go up, right? And um, and that's been systemic. When you look at the advertising, you always see a Black woman alone with a baby. But you see a Caucasian, when you see Caucasians in advertising, usually in the form of a couple. And so that's the first thing. It's not just a law enforcement issue. It's a holistic issue, and it's a community issue. And it starts with, like Tommy said, men needing to be men. And I know there's some men in Allendale who are doing things and who have been trying to do things. And this is one thing I feel I could truly vouch for Councilman Marlon Creech on, right? And in my time there, I've known Sean Haynes to try to do stuff in the community as well, right? There are people trying to do good things, but there aren't enough of us. And I'm gonna use this as an example. There was a young man whose mama kept coming up to the police department in 2022, 2023, saying she couldn't do nothing with him. He was 16, 17 years old. I told her, she said she had boys hanging out at her house she didn't want there. I gave her my word. I said, every time we see him and he's with A, B, and C, we will run them off. I did that for a year. She got tired of me calling, found boys at her house. Needless to say, this young man graduated high school. And before I left, he was serving on the grand jury. Now, mind you, he had been running with some boys who were involved in a lot of issues that were happening in late 2022. But by the time I left, he was serving on the grand jury for Allendale County, and he's listening to cases that I'm presenting. And this young man, he's working full time. In fact, I showed up at his house one time because people said there was an issue over there, and I'm like, I haven't seen you in a while. He's like, I've been working. I was like, I thought so. And we had a quick conversation. He's like, you want to check? I said, if you're gonna let me, just let me have a quick look. I walked out, sent him on his way. Was like, gave him dap, said, hey, I'm sorry to bother you. People said, something was going on over here. We had to check, and nothing to it. Right. But I can't. There's only one of me. I can't do that for everybody. There's only one Marlon Creech. There's only one Randy Creech. Even if there's only one Tommy. Right. If all of us took one individual, there'd still be another 30 more that my heart goes out to, that I want to help, but I just don't have the time and capacity because I have my own family as well. Right. So more so to Tommy's point, like it requires men. It requires men because that's who's out here acting crazy. It's these young boys, right? And so I think it does take, it's gonna take a generation, but there has to be a strategic plan, and the plan has to be held to.
Yeah, this is kind of what I was trying to get at. And Tommy, I'm not trying to pick on you and nothing like that.
No.
Nah.
Yeah. I was just trying to figure out, because gone are the days when Big Mama would cut your butt and send you home, because now you got DSS, you got somebody gonna call the police saying you hit their kid, or or you discipline their child and they didn't like it. So it's kind of hard for us to say we're gonna go back to the way the community used to be. Right, because laws have changed, positions have changed, positioning has changed. So it's just not that easy. So what are you really going to do to foster change in the community? And having a men's initiative or something like that, where you're bringing men in, you're going back to the churches and trying to start some grassroots kind of support services for families, so that you can start to bring that sense of community back. Because just saying to start back over like Big Mom and them used to be, that ain't gonna work. In my opinion.
I do have one, before we go to final comments, I do have a thought, right? And I hear this a lot. I hear single parent households, I hear single moms, I hear we need more men here, we need more men here. And granted, we do. Being a father myself now, I do understand the importance of having a man in the home. Now, however, I wasn't raised with a dad in the home. My mom did it all alone. A lot of my friends were in the same boat. They didn't have fathers in the home. So yeah, we do need men to step up. But at the same time, if it is a single parent household, we still need these moms to be moms. You know,
What
you're still the parent. You still need to lay down the law. You still need to do what you got to do. Now, I'm not saying that we don't need fathers. We obviously do. But at the same time, your child is your child. So whether you're a male or a female, it's your job to get your child in check. And if you know your child is out there doing something they don't need to be doing, you need to call them out on that. You need to handle that. But again, I totally, I do know that the presence of men, I know that it is invaluable, but I don't want to use that as an excuse or a cop out, because these moms who have these kids, they know what their kids are doing. And if you know your kids out there doing stuff, you need to call them out on it, and you need to make sure that, because there's no way as a parent I would have trouble resting in my house if I knew that my child was responsible for taking the life of another child, taking somebody else's child away. I could not sleep right. And I would love if there are parents out there who know their kids are doing the right thing. If you don't want to, get them in trouble, I'm a parent. I totally understand it. But at the same time, at some point, you got to do what you got to do to make sure that they're not out there taking away kids. Because they just shot this afternoon, right? They were shooting, right? We don't even know if there were any casualties or not. We don't know that. You know what I mean? But the point is, it happens too frequently. You know what I mean? And something
Yeah.
has to be done. Obviously, I didn't expect us to come to any solutions. The purpose of this platform is to start the conversation, right? We
Yeah.
still have a lot of work to do. I'm here, obviously. So anyone out there who is, whether you're on the town council, whether you're an elected official, whether you're a parent, whether you're a citizen, I don't care what it is. If you would love to come on the platform and voice your concern and let people hear your voice, we would love to have you. So we're open to everybody. Now, I do commend the members of town council that came on. I appreciate you guys so much, because I do understand, because, and you too, Chief Wiggins,
It's
primarily
the hot
because
seat.
when
It's the
you've been
hot
in that
seat.
role, you're in the hot seat. So
Yeah.
people are firing questions, you're under the spotlight. So I appreciate you guys coming on. I truly do. And we do want to continue that conversation. And I would urge anybody who is an elected official, if you haven't been on yet, we'd love to have you on. We'd love to hear from you. We don't want to just hear from you in election time. So it's easy to try to garner a vote. But when you but the true measure to me of a leader is how you handle these pressure situations. We want to hear your answers. We want to hear your responses. And I got to tell you guys, I'll be honest with you, all five of you, I have the utmost respect for each of you for even coming on. And you were honest, you were candid, you were transparent, and we appreciate that more than you know. And before we close and before you guys leave, I do want you to end with, give me like a final takeaway that you want to leave the audience with. And TB, we're going to start with you. So just give us something, give us something, a
Okay.
thought that you leave the audience with.
Um, just food for thought. You don't have to have a title in your community or be a part of anything to help bring about change. Um, this, like I said, it's important. We have some issues going on, and it's imperative that we step up to the plate and do what we need to do as a whole. And Tommy, the election is not until July 15th. Let's get together and start now. Let's get something together, and let's get a group together. Miss Phyllis has the 50 boys, 50 men.
Yep.
Let's just see what we can get together with like-minded people, and let's see what we can get turned around. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Absolutely. Chief Wiggins.
Yeah, I think it's important for people who are going to the ballot box to think critically about every single election. It's not about who you know. It's not about who you like. It's about who's going to get the job done. And that's at every level. In local elections, every seat matters. It really does. And that's your municipal elections, your county elections, right? And don't allow recency bias to sway you. Be honest and evaluate people on their whole performance. Because that's what politicians do. And for those who are in appointed positions, you know, um, go to your municipal city hall meetings or your county council meetings and voice your opinions about, for instance, when I was the chief, people, I could recall a couple of times people showed up, but go voice, and I spoke with them after, but you go voice your opinions because that's the only way things are going to change. And this isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. If you're serious about this, it's going to require you to get your hands dirty. It's easy to be a keyboard warrior and say we need to do this and need to do that, but very few people are willing to get their hands dirty. And so, be part of the solution.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's going to take more than a free fish fry for you to get my vote. All right, Tommy, what you got, brother?
I agree with everybody. I've been started. I mean, even though that, I'm not in the forefront. If you look behind the scenes of a lot of things, you'll see me there. I just wasn't, vocal about it until I got tired of it, And when it comes to men, many men are not stepping up. But what do you do when a man do want to step up and do something?
Mm-hmm.
Is you gonna let him go ahead and be a man, or you just gonna, do the same thing? I mean the community within itself. When it comes to these boys having guns and people shooting and stuff, I see boys all the time, and I stop and talk with them and try to get them to have a change of mind that most people can't even stop and do, or nothing like that. So I'm looking forward to working with everybody that's on here. And that's basically all I got to say about that.
Yes, sir. And Tommy, I just got to let you know, man. I see you, brother. I see the work you're doing. Hey,
Yeah.
just keep at it, man. And that's coming from the heart.
Appreciate it.
All right, Marlon, what you got?
Oh, I'm on. Okay. All right. So, man, again, I just want to thank everybody that took the opportunity to go ahead come on this podcast. Thank you, Mr. Hook, for this opportunity. Real quick. First of all, I want to say, be impactful, not so much to try to impress. I'm already elected, so with me, the things that I promise to do, and that is do all I can. I've been doing all I can. Trust me, when things happen in the community, I lose a lot of sleep because I'm caring about what's going on. I'm here and I'm living in it. Just because I'm an elected official doesn't mean that I'm sleeping perfectly at night. No, I care about the things that people care about because I'm living it with them. Right. So the future that what holds for me is, again, whoever is on this podcast and whoever's watching, I'm gonna put those cameras back on the floor. I'm gonna make the motion. I'm sure Randy's gonna second it. And guess what? We'll put it all in the vote. Whether how much ever it costs, I'm gonna put the time frame of how long it should be up or how long it should take for it to be up. And again, I do all I can to recruit. Again, I stay in the youth department, the recreation, the schools, working with the kids. All this stuff is things that ingredients to make our town and our county much better. Without this, it'll fall apart. So everybody gotta do their share. Again, just like Wiggins say, hey, I'm only one me, you be only one of you, but guess what? Be impactful. That's what it takes. It takes for you to be impactful and forget about impressing. Forget about that. Come on and join the team. Allendale has great potential. So at the end of the day, I'm just gonna do all I can. I am gonna put it on the floor, and like I say, I'm easy to find. So whatever the citizens' concerns or whatever, just continue to address them. And again, man, I love Allendale, and I'm gonna do all I can. We need them cameras like ASAP. It's shooting right now while we on the podcast.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you, man.
Yes,
Randy, what you got, sir?
oh,
Cook
that's
and
fireworks.
Shannon, I
That's fireworks.
want to thank you for having this podcast and bringing sounding the alarm bells about Allendale. I want to thank you so greatly for this. Um, I am troubled. And I want to thank everybody that was on this podcast. But again, I'm troubled for my town. Reason I say that is because it's not hard to solve this problem. In my view, it's not hard. I'm not saying it is simple, but it's not difficult. We make this difficult. Marlon and I are two of seven individuals that's on the town council, including us. And the thing about it is that I'm used to moving at a similar pace or a certain pace to get things done. Um, because when you do the line of work that I do, you have to be at a particular place at a certain time. So you make the necessary adjustments to get it done. I say all that to say this because what's going on in Allendale is pretty much at a snail's pace. And we, in my view, we are failing the people. I know that some of my colleagues will never be able to say that because they want to, make it seem like everything is fine. But we are failing the people. Our police department has failed the people, and the citizens are the one that's affected. And when I have people that's calling me asking me why are all these things happening, what is going up there, my answer to them is that they need to start attending these meetings at the town hall. They need to get in contact with mayor and town council. They need to stay on them. We are serving the people. Um, we have to get to a point where we work with the sheriff's office. Because right now at this point, the sheriff's office is all that we have. Marlon brought up the budget. We have to um, allocate some funds to the sheriff's office. We cannot just deplete their funding and just if their deputies leave, then what do we have? Um, there's a lot of things in which we have a lot of fires, but they can quickly be extinguished. It's just that do we want them extinguished? Do we want to just allow this atrocity to continue? I mean, we have to look in the mirror. Look, I look in the mirror every day. When I wake up, I thank God for allowing me to wake up. And the second thing that I think about is what can I do for my town? You have to have individuals. We have an upcoming election, and I plead to the ones that are running. If you don't care about Allendale, just don't be a part of this. But you have to have some care about Allendale because this is a town that has been wounded, has been broken, and to the point where if we don't do something quickly, we're going to lose everybody here because this don't make any sense to me. Look, I went to your mother's house and your mother was terrified. She told me that she stayed up all night long. She could not sleep. And I had to comfort her and assure her that I was going to remain there with her until your sister or an officer was to come. And I can see the fear on her face. But it's not only her. There are people all over Kennedy Park, across the tracks, in the pond that is going through similar situations. And again, I tell the citizens, we have failed you. We have to do better. You have to be more proactive in getting on your elected officials and making sure that they do the job. If they don't want to do the job, they need to resign and put people in that's going to do the job. Thank you, Hook. Thank you, Shannon.
No, we appreciate you, Randy. Definitely. Shannon, what you got, sis?
I just think it was a great conversation, and I applaud all of y'all for coming on here and having courage to face tough questions and to face criticism and just people trying to find the root of the problem. And I know, like Hook said, we're not going to solve anything just in a couple of podcasts, but I think it's real important that the conversation start. And like I said, I got family from Allendale. When my family's from Allendale, I've never lived there, but I feel vested at this point in the success of Allendale and the success of the police department and the community. So whatever I can do to help, I'm willing to help. Ideas, meetings, getting people together, whatever it can be done, because I feel like this is a critical issue for the success of the community.
I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm.
And what I will say personally, anyone that knows me knows I love Allendale. I love Allendale. I live Allendale. I bleed Allendale. I love my hometown. And regardless of everyone that's on this panel, regardless of opinions, regardless of whether we agree, disagree, or agree to disagree, I think we can all agree on one thing, is that we do want what's best for Allendale. I think that is one commonality that we all share. Now, you guys mentioned an election. What's the election date again?
The election date, Hook, is July the 15th.
July 15th. All right.
Yes.
So we got a little under a month. How many candidates are running?
You have two candidates who are on your podcast now. You have also former Mayor Larry Cohen, who is running. You have I think her name is I can't think of her first name, but she's Johnny Grant, Marion Grant's wife. Can't think of her first name, and I apologize. Okay, Angela.
Okay. So we have at least we have at least 4 candidates, right?
You have 5. You also have Amanda Presley.
You know what we would love to do at some point between now and election day is to have a debate of sorts. So we would love for any aspiring elected officials to really come on, because one, it'll give you an opportunity to present yourselves, and 2, it'll give you an opportunity to let people know your stance and your platform and where you stand. So obviously, no pressure. I'm not going to hound or harass anybody to come on. However, you know, if you're truly about the betterment of Allendale, what better way to do so than to speak on a public forum? But again, that's neither here nor there. So that is a call to action. So if you guys would love to come on, we'd love to have you. If not, you know, it's we'll see what happens on election day. But again, I do appreciate everybody for coming on. Chief Wiggins, thank you so much. We certainly value your time, sir.
Yes.
Anytime.
Tommy, Randy, Marlon, Tommy, and Tibby, we do appreciate you guys as well. So thank you guys as well. And Tommy, I hope to be seeing you soon, man, because I know that there's an election coming up, man. And you know, obviously, I always speak highly of you, and I'd love to give you an opportunity to show people who you are and what you stand for, and what you can bring to the community, man. So we'd love to have you back on, but I'm sure we'll be talking. But again, thank everybody for tuning in. If you make sure you share this broadcast, because the people that weren't able to watch now, they can always watch later. And until next time, continue to stay curious and stay informed. We'll talk to you next time.
All right.
Appreciate you.
Thank
I'm
you,
trying to
guys.
figure out how I can come run for office. I want to run.